There we go. I was waiting for that.
Welcome to Pixels, Polygons, and Fun, a video game podcast where we talk about anything under the video game sun. I am your host, Raging Gingy. Along with me today is my co-host, Mr. Pegasus. Pegasus, how are you, buddy?
I'm growing younger. In the BBR Discord, they're just making fun of me for being a child, and they keep lowering my age every time they say it, so I feel like I'm like Benjamin Button.
I was about to say, so how old are you now?
I think last I checked, I'm 5.
Oh dear. Well, this is going to be a surprise episode for you guys.
Yeah, special surprise, happy.
I mean, it's not that, we have extra time in our podcatcher plan.
Oh yeah, not at all. This is totally 100% you guys. It wasn't just some sort of strategy to make our penny's worth.
Haha.
A very shiny penny's worth.
Every time you bring up a penny, have to bring that up. It's a very shiny penny.
I mean, that was the first podcast episode I was ever on with you, but I mean, we'll tell that story in the second, considering the show's topic.
Right. So this isn't going to be like a standard episode for you guys. So I know some of you guys are smart asses, so you're going to come at us with, oh, is this episode 11? No, it is not episode 11. We are still planning on recording episode 11.
It's episode 10.43.
Yeah, we're just going to come up with some random crap for you guys. But no, we recently...
10.7384.
There we go. But, yeah, we hit double digits with episode 10. And so I feel like that's a long way. And it just lined up that we had a bunch of other stuff finally happen. And I wanted to bring all of this to you guys' attention. And of course, we're going to bring it all up in episode 11. But kind of wanted just to make this quick little tidbit to explain how Pixels, Polygons, and Fun started, to give you a quick little intro into that. And we'll
how I started as a podcaster and like the stepping stones of the first podcast I started on my own and my experience within RCS We Trust, all that stuff.
Exactly. So, with that said, don't really have a special transition music for this, I don't think.
I feel like I might be doing the majority of the talking for this episode, considering I have Way Past Cool and in Arceus, and you just have this one.
For now. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump in then. I mean, like I said, I don't think that we have any good intermission. I mean, this is a special episode, so I don't think it really matters.
I'll just acapella ad-lib a little jingle. Let's get into the special topic. Do.
Love that. But, yeah, this, like I was saying before, we, today, as of recording, we had some major stuff happen in our little community for Pixels. And wanted to tell you guys. First of all, we obviously have our Discord, right? That's standard.
Well,
but because we finally hit the double digits, and that's important to me.
We have a MySpace. I'm kidding. We don't have that.
Oh, you know what? I'll fucking work on it now while we're recording.
You better. We're gonna get a MySpace right now.
But anyway, as soon as we hit the double digits, that was really important to me. Seeing as how Pixels, Polygons, and Fun is my very first podcast. Just the realization that we're finally...
No offense to you, Gingy, but it's kind of bittersweet for me. Because this is the kind of milestone that, I thought I'd be celebrating with Cameron and Penguin first off, but that ended up spiraling and crashing. But it's still awesome that this show has kept on track for so long.
Right, and that was important to me because that we hit double digits. That I wanted to get some stuff up and running.
Of
So
course.
the shocking announcement: we have
I figured
created
you were going to
a.
announce this stuff at the end. I wasn't prepared for all of this right at the second.
I guess we can save it for the end. Never mind. But
I didn't mean to
yeah,
leave you all
scratch
in
that.
suspense. People are going to be pissed now.
No, but they're probably gonna skip till the very, very end.
Of course. So anyway, you want me to start off since I have probably more to say?
Well, yeah. Why don't you go ahead and start with Anarceus? Because I know that's how I originally met you.
Well, I was going to start with Way Past Cool since that's where I started. But I
Oh,
mean,
go for it. Go for it, Pegasus.
so I started listening to podcasts with Blastburn Radio. My original introduction to that was Complete Fate. I actually was looking around for Twitch streams to watch, and I happened to click on Pokemon Emerald. Like, hey, who's playing Pokemon Emerald? And I caught Messer Engine playing his Pokemon Emerald randomized Nuzlocke, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'll give it a look-see. And then he told me about Blastburn Radio. I'm like, I'll totally listen to that. And then I started playing along with them. I started getting super jazzed about everything. And then I discovered people like Nathan K with Sylph Radio and Fairpoint, and Jake and Josh with Morphin Grid and Pokemon World Tour. I
Mm-hmm.
decided I wanted to start my own podcast. And hearing Nathan K's advice, which was just to like start, I decided to do that. To be honest, probably not the best advice. I'm kind of embarrassed about how it turned out, to be honest. So I started my own podcast that was heavily inspired by Morphin Grid format, where they go and just watch an episode of Power Rangers and talk about it. I was gonna do basically that, but with cartoons based on Sonic the Hedgehog. So I ended up calling it Way Past Cool Podcast because Sonic he says Way Past Cool. It's one of his
Mm-hmm.
catchphrases. So yeah, I mean I threw together a logo in Photoshop, recorded it with like the audio recorder on my phone, got some like weird audio editing app to like add like transition music and stuff. To be honest, I think that's really resourceful of me that I pulled that off because I don't think I have the patience to pull that off now because it took me like an hour to find an app that could do what I needed it to do, which is
Okay.
ridiculous because Android devices have been around for years and I can't find an application that will allow me to effectively insert an MP3 into an MP3.
Right.
So anyway, that was Way Past Cool. It only lasted one episode. I sort of lost figure just because of honestly how low the quality was and how little I could do with it. But then one fateful week, Blastburn Radio announced they were taking a break for a week and that there would no podcast episode. And I decided, yes, there will be. I mean, that didn't work out, but anyway, that's the origin story. So I decided I was going to get some Blastburn Radio fans together. We were going to do a Blastburn Radio fan special. Now, Gingy, I know you're about to get all offended. You weren't there yet, as far as I'm aware. And if you were, I didn't really know you.
No, you're fine.
I know. I was waiting for the joke, like, why didn't you invite me? So
No,
anyway, I
because at
decided,
that time we weren't really communicating.
yeah, you were just that guy who posted on the Discord every once in a while, who I thought was named after the character from Shrek. Anyway, I decided to get a couple of Blastburn Radio fans together. And the fans I got together were Infernape1997, whose real name is Cameron, and Penguin Mage, whose real name I've been told multiple times but cannot remember for the life of me. She's Penguin. I ended up calling Infernape Cameron more than I called him Infernape, but Penguin, even though she told me her real name, I just kept calling her Penguin.
Right.
So we got together, we recorded like a little Blastburn Radio episode where we did Poke News and stuff. I even sang the Poke News jingle. I'm so sad it didn't make it. Cause like mine came through. I'm like, yes, are you guys ready for me to like make my dreams come through?
Mm-hmm.
Then I sang the jingle. So anyway, yeah, I understand though. They said there was like legal implications behind putting something out that they didn't create, and I understand that now.
Right.
But we were kind of bummed, me, Penguin, and Cameron. But Cameron said, "Hey, I've been wanting to start my own Pokemon podcast, and our chemistry in podcasting is pretty good. So what if we do that?" And I'm like, "Yo, sure, let's do it." So we did that, and after some banter, we ended up with a name in Arceus We Trust. And that was the first podcast production I was part of that had like weight to it, that had effort put behind it, that was supposed to like take off and become like a big thing. There are 8 episodes of it currently, and I don't expect that count to ever go up for a story that I will not detail, but I'll get to like loosely in a second. But it was 8 episodes of fun. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about Pokemon. We loved Pokemon. We laughed and we joked. There were 4 hosts actually along. It was me, it was Cameron, it was Penguin, and then it was Cameron's college friend John, which was funny because the the meme the whole time is that John doesn't even play Pokemon. So like J- Cameron just forced him to be on the show because he made some funny jokes, and it ended up like being a rotating cast between me, Cameron, Penguin, and John. Like
Mm-hmm.
one episode it would be me, Cameron, and John. One episode it would be like me, Cameron, and Penguin. Me and Cameron were constant most of the time, but except for the most recent episode released, I was not in it due to Cameron actually not telling me it was happening because he wanted to surprise me with the fact that Penguin was back because she hadn't been on episodes in a while, and I'm like, dude, it would have been much more pleasant surprise if we were like, hey, we're recording, Penguin is here, and I actually got to be there. But anyway, Sticks and Stones. So yeah, it was a really fun experience. There are a lot of guests on that show. By a lot of
There was.
by a lot of I mean 2. I think there was only 2. First of which was Lucio, which was another one of Cameron's college friends, and he was a lot of fun. He actually was going to be a host of the show, and then some sort of internal thing happened between him and Cameron, and that never came to fruition. But he was a lot of fun to podcast with, and hey, wink wink, maybe I'll be podcasting with Lucio soon again in the future.
Who knows?
Who knows?
It could be a lot of fun.
It could be. I didn't. You cut out. What'd you say?
It could be a lot of fun. You know, cough, wink,
Yes.
wink.
Maybe it would involve. Maybe it would involve video games in some way.
I don't
Video
know. And
games.
aren't our shapes called polygons?
Yes, they are indeed.
Maybe some
Yes.
pixels? I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, so along with Lucio, there was one other guest, and his name was Raging Gingy.
Bum, bum, bum.
In episode 6 of An Arceus We Trust, we brought on Raging Gingy, a good listener of the show who wanted to be on the show, and we made that happen. And we talked about, what did we talk about, Gingy? I'll let you tell them.
Well, if I remember correctly, in the in RCS We Trust Discord server, you guys originally made a post saying if we had topic suggestions to go ahead and email you guys. And I had a topic suggestion talking about, the Pokemon contest. And I sent that email to you guys, and I got a
Yeah,
response back.
yeah, I don't know how emails and stuff works. That was Cameron's thing. I just punched in, made funnies, and punched out.
Yeah, I sent an email to Cameron, and he liked my topic suggestion, and that's how I came on to be with an Arceus.
Yep, and in the end, it was originally going to be, you were originally going to be on with all 3 hosts. You were going to be on with me, Cameron, and Penguin, but Penguin had to cancel last minute. So it was just me, Cameron, and you. And we had some fun. We talked about Pokemon contests. It's honestly one of my favorite episodes to record just because of what came out of it, you know.
And
But
then the 2-year-old, my son, at the very end being a surprise
yeah,
guest star.
surprise guest star. So yeah, after that podcast, me and Gingy talked. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself into the origins of of Pixels, because I still have a little bit more to say about Inarceus. But yeah, after the episode recording, me and Gingy talked, and that led to Pixels. More details on that in a second. But yeah, after that, we recorded more Inarceus We Trust. We actually, as of this recording, there are 1.5 unreleased episodes of Inarceus We Trust. So in total, we recorded 9.5 episodes of Inarceus We Trust before tragedy struck. So that was a show that went on for like decently a little while. Unfortunately, some circumstances happened that I'm not going to detail, but Cameron did a thing that was bad, and now he's in a place that's bad, and now we're not doing that show anymore.
So yeah, I think we can probably drop that there.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that was an RCS. It was a really great experience. Penguin and John and Lucio and you were all introduced to me through that show, and I love you all. You're all my friends.
Oh, don't make me cry now.
So yeah, that was the story of an Arceus. Although the story of me Pokemon podcasting is not done yet. We've announced in the last episode that Pokemon Variety Hour is happening with me, Penguin, and Gingy. So
Mm-hmm.
that'll be coming soon. And then the next podcast that I became involved with was Pixels, Polygons, and Fun. Now let me tell you the name origin before anything else. Because Pixels, Polygons, and Fun was a concept of mine that I had like it was either like right before an RCS we started or like before an RCS started or right after. Like it was really early in that sort of stage. And I had a couple of friends, one of which you've heard. I had Yves, a friend from the UK who did Twitch streams, and we used to hang out a lot on Voice and such and do streams together.
Mm-hmm.
And there was Atlas, who you heard in episode 9, who's now my best friend of all time. And we were going to do a podcast about video games. We were going to call it Pixels, Polygons, and Fun. But back then, we didn't know what Craig was. We didn't know like how easy it was to edit a podcast, because apparently Gigi just makes it look like it's another day, another dollar. It's super easy. But yeah, so eventually Yves just ruined it. Was like, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do this? And I'm like, I don't know, Yves. I guess we're not gonna do that. So that never happened. And then after the show of in Arceus, when we did Pokemon contest, me and Gigi were on the phone for hours because like we hit it off instantly, right?
Yeah, that we did.
We were just a good match, and we talked, and you're like, hey, I want to start a video game podcast, and I'm like, do you have a name yet? And you're like, not solidly, and I'm like, I have one, and you can't say no. And yeah, there was Pixels, Polygons, and Fun got pulled out of the back burner of my brain. We had a sort of discussion, like, it wasn't like, in the end, Gingy's like, I'm gonna do this. Gingy was like, so which one of us is gonna be the main host? And I'm like, I'll let you do that. Yeah, you have your show. So now Gingy has his show. There you go.
And no, and it has been a want, if that's the right word choice of mine, to start a podcast, because I listen to so many.
And to be honest, Gingy, just real quick, sorry to interrupt.
You're fine.
I feel like the show would be much lesser quality if we had decided at that point that I was going to be the main host. You're really good at running things.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. But it's been a want of mine.
I'm good at being the sidekick. That's why I'm so afraid about Pokemon Variety Hour, because I'm the sidekick. I sit in the background and I make jokes.
Well, that's where the variety part of the name is. We need to switch things up a bit.
Yeah, you're right. There you go.
See?
So anyway, continue your story about running podcasts and such.
But yeah, that's something I've wanted to do for a really long time. I've gotten motivation from so many different podcasts that I listen to. I listen to Blastburn Radio, which is a Pokemon podcast, along with Puckle, and then another one called It's Super Effective, and Pokemon World Tour. Those
I've never
guys,
heard of I've never heard of Puckle, or it's super effective.
they are fantastic podcasts, and if you like Pokemon, go check them out. But pardon me. And then if What's Good Games podcast, Kind of Funny Games Daily, and Video Game Outsiders. Those guys also gave me motivation to actually do this. And then kind of kicked off when I was on that episode of.
Are you not like an active listener of Nathan K? Because I didn't hear Sylph Radio mentioned.
I don't believe so, but that will change after this.
Oh, have you actually not listened to Sylph Radio?
I've listened to Sylph Radio a few times, but I don't think I've resubscribed to them on my new phone.
Yeah. Nathan K is great, except there hasn't been a new episode of Fairpoint since January 2017,
Right.
which needs to change.
But
and he's told me it's gonna change. Like I've messaged the I don't know if it was him or Craig, but I messaged the Fairpoint message, and I gave them like an episode topic idea, and they're like, yeah, we're working on new Fairpoints. It's just been a thing. And then once we get through what we plan to get through, we'll totally do that topic you suggested. And I'm like, great.
Right. But
so yeah, there are going to be new Fairpoints at some point, hopefully.
Maybe. But yeah, that's when it really kicked off, honestly. It was after that episode of An Arceus We Trust that I was on, that the initial concept of me wanting to do a video game podcast really just kind of kicked it. Because I was right on the edge of wanting to do it. I didn't know how until all you guys told me to just do it.
To be honest, it'd be funny, the alternate universe where like I was busy that day and you talked to Cameron instead, and you started the podcast with Cameron.
Yeah,
that'd be an interesting universe.
But I mean, yeah, that's essentially how Pixels came to fruition. No, it was rough at first, especially the fucking third episode that it took us 4 legitimate tries to fucking record it.
Oh my god, that was ridiculous. We need to get Cloudfire back on.
That we need to do. I've been
Cloudfire.
Yeah, Cloudfire was the original guest for episode 3 that we tried to get on. We had that entire episode recorded. We ended up with
Juggalo, right? That was the episode that came out for episode 3.
I believe so, yes.
The Juggalo.
If my memory serves correctly. Yeah, we ended up with Juggalo, which he did
about with Juggalo? I forgot.
Smash?
Really?
I'll double check, but yeah, the original time that we recorded episode 3, we had Cloudfire come on, and he is a good buddy of mine. And that episode audio got corrupted after the download, or before the download sometime, and we unfortunately had to scrap that episode. So Cloudfire, if you're listening, we're definitely going to get you back on, man.
Of course.
But no, I mean, staying on a schedule obviously is important. And like I said, we're in the double digits. We finally hit 10. So that, honestly, to me, is an important number. Now, granted, overall, maybe not to other people, but to me personally, episode 10, pretty big. The next time we're going to add a digit is going to be episode 100.
Yeah. Do you remember? Like, you obviously remember, but like, do you remember the details of that day? When we did the lost episode in Arceus We Trust, so to speak, we did the dragon type episode, you were on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually originally just going to be you and Cameron because I didn't show up, and then I noticed that it was happening, and I just like kind of got in the voice chat, and I was going to do like a funny entrance, but like, this is what pisses me off the most about that. Like, it never came out, so you never got to see me rant about that. But like, Cameron always yells at me for interrupting him, right?
Yeah.
So when I enter the voice and I'm about to make like my funny entrance, I'm like, wait, I should wait until Cameron stops talking so I don't interrupt him. And then Cameron starts talking and he's like, hey, Peg, you want to take this? And I'm like, God dang it!
But yeah, that's how I got into this whole podcasting
So
thing.
what would you say? What would you say was your favorite episode to record of Pixels so far?
Ooh, that's a toughie.
Episode 9, because I was in Disneyland instead.
No, honestly, in all seriousness, my favorite one was episode 5.
That was the Ratatata episode, yeah.
Yes, it was. No, honestly, Pop-Tart Rats and Fat Hedgehogs, episode 5, honestly, has to be my favorite.
My favorite to listen to would probably have to be. I'm trying to think about this. This is hard. I don't think I've fully listened to anything outside of 5 and 10, but I've mostly listened to like some of the earlier ones. Probably, maybe. Yeah, I think I'd say in episode 5 actually. I'd
And
say
we talked
episode
about the
9, but I
Fat
know that
Sonic, too.
that would offend you.
No, not really.
Because, Atlas is a really good friend of mine, and it's always nice when I get to sit down and talk to him.
Right, no, Atlas did a fantastic job, so we'll be sure to get him to come on again.
Yeah, actually get to have him on with the actual host instead of me running things poorly.
You did a good job too, Pegasus.
I know.
You gotta give yourself more credit there, buddy. But yeah, that's where how from my point of view that I got involved with podcasting and how Pixels actually came to fruition, and wanted to thank again on air for the talented individual who I am unfortunately spacing your name right now, so I am so sorry, but I wanted to thank you yet again for creating our logo.
That was my friend Jason.
Well, Jason, thank you very much, man. I'm gonna reach out to you personally and thank you.
He is Gel on the community Discord, if you wanted to know.
Okay. Yeah, I will be sure to reach out to him after this little tidbit.
Gel, Gel.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm ready myself, Pegasus. Should we announce the big stuff that's changing with Pixels, Polygons, and Fun?
Well, once you were done talking about Pixels, I was going to do a brief thing about ghosts.
Oh, go for it. We have a few minutes.
So another podcast I have is Ghost of Gaming Future. It's currently in episode 1 hell, which actually, I totally forgot Fresh Baked Laugh Tracks, so let me back it for a second. Fresh Baked Laugh Tracks was a project of me and Atlas's, where we both discovered our mutual love for Nickelodeon sitcoms created by the one true foot god himself, Dan Schneider. You don't understand that joke, Gingy. So yeah, Dan Schneider was a sitcom creator who made stuff such as Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, and it turned out he was kind of a creepazoid and kind of liked underage women and especially their feet.
Really?
Yeah.
Never knew that.
Yeah, that was Dan Schneider, but he made some good shows, and we were going to talk about them all. We did episode 1 of Drake and Josh, which I think turned out fairly well for Atlas's first time editing and podcasting, and my first time running a podcast that wasn't just me alone, it was me and somebody else.
Right.
And that never made it past episode 1 hell due to technical difficulties not allowing us to watch episode 2 of Drake and Josh. So that's unfortunate. But anyway, the next podcast I started as the main head honcho was Ghost of Gaming Future, which is currently in episode 1 hell, but it's at the point where we'll be out of it soon. We'll have an episode 2 out within the next couple weeks at least.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Ghost of Gaming Future was a concept that I thought of where we're going to talk about our ideas for games, whether they're games spin-offs for an existing franchise or our own super original ideas where we come up with everything originally. The first episode was my idea where I talked about a 2D traditional fighting game with Nintendo characters called Super Smash Bros. Duel. I don't know if you ever got a chance to listen to Ghost of Gaming Future, Gingy.
No, I did.
Did you? The whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, sir. I did indeed, which you never know, you guys. Cough, cough, wink, wink. Maybe I will come on that show to talk about something
Gingy has to
Never
be on
know.
on all of my shows. They're a requirement at this point. We've become each other's like bread and butter. Like we have to show up on each other's projects now.
Because you gave me that, and we should probably, um, before we get into our announcements, should probably explain where the whole thing of the very shiny penny came from.
Oh yeah, that was the Pokemon contest episode. At the beginning, Cameron again like it became this is a very running joke on Narcissus We Trust that Cameron didn't like me very much. And like when he was introducing me on the podcast, he was like, "With me again, he just doesn't seem to realize that I don't like him." Is Pegasus, and then I introduce myself as usual, and Gingy's like, "If it makes you feel better, I like you, Pegasus." And Cameron's like, "How much did you pay him?" And I'm like, "A penny." And then Gingy, what did you say?
It was a very shiny penny.
And then me, you, and Cameron busted into laughter, and it became a legendary moment.
Exactly.
That was like the first time I knew that like we sparked each other in terms of comedic like stuff. Like I made a joke and then you expanded upon it right then and there. I kind of realized like, hey, we kind of work. Me and this Gingy
You're gonna
dude.
make me cry. But figured we'd cut that there. We will go into much, much, much more length and detail at a later time. But few things I wanted to talk about before we close out. I was on our podcast sharing website, and I noticed that we've had some podcast plays from in Europe, according to the statistics that I have pulled up, Pegasus. And I just wanted to say on air, you guys that are out there listening, please write into the show with our email. And if you don't have that, it is ppandfpodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you guys excuse me. I would love to hear from you guys to find out how you found us. That is just absolutely stunning that we our small podcast that we started has had plays in Europe already, Pegasus. That just blows my mind.
So I let you keep going there, but before we get to announcing all of our new super secret fun stuff, I kind of want to give like a closing statement on our topic.
Yeah.
Podcasting has like changed my life, to be honest. Podcasting has introduced me to some new friends, including Gingy. Podcasting has allowed me to get myself out there with some content that I am capable of making, and
Mm-hmm.
that I am like confident in. Like in RCS We Trust was the first thing that like I was in on the internet that I like listened to, and I'm like, this is actually like good content. I'm not cringy in this. I actually like have good jokes and I bounce off of other people very well. So yeah, podcasting has sort of changed my outlook on myself as a content creator, and I've realized where I stand in that point, like what my calling
Mm-hmm.
is, which is yeah, just laying here making jokes. Like I think podcasts for me are like easier to like be snappy with than like let's plays that I do on my YouTube channel, which I still think are pretty good, at least compared to some of the older ones that I used to do. But this compared to a let's play that I'm just like laying here and I'm just talking to somebody and I'm making jokes when it's hard to make jokes when I have to pay attention to a video game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, podcasting has changed my life, introduced me to a lot of new people, including like podcasts in general. Blastburn Radio has changed my life. They're like a big part of my life now. All of the people in that community. And I'd like to personally thank some of the people who inspired me here on the show, even though I've probably already mentioned them this episode, just like a personal thank you to the host of Blastburn Radio, Jolly by Nature, Messer Engine, Celez, and formerly Rohane. You were a big inspiration. Thank you to Nathan Capser and Craig Lewis. I blanked out on Craig's last name for a second. You guys over at the Secret Room were also a big inspiration. Jake and Josh of Hey Jake and Josh, they were what inspired me to start my first podcast, and as cringy as that was, it was still like a big cornerstone for me.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you guys. Thank you, Gingy, for running
You're
this
welcome,
show
buddy.
and letting me be a part of it. And you know what? I'm gonna say it. It's hard to say considering the circumstances, but I'm gonna say it. Thank you to Cameron. You were the first host guy that I worked with, and you honestly, in RCS We Trust was very well put together. And I respect you as a content creator. And I thank you for getting me my start in actual good content. And thank you to Penguin Mage for being there too. And thank you to John for editing in RCS We Trust in exchange for potato chips.
All right.
To be honest, one of my favorite podcast moments, real quick. I'm sorry for making this run long.
You're fine, dude.
One of my favorite moments in any of the podcasts I've been in was it's actually funny. This starts with the thing that I think every story I've ever told starts with. I pissed off Cameron. He left the voice chat during a recording, just real quick, just to breathe, so he didn't yell at me. And me and John started being well, I guess that's the end of the show. And then we started doing outro stuff, and when John went to edit it, he actually put the outro music there. And it was really funny. Okay. Anyway, you can go ahead and announce our super secret things now.
All right. Like we said at multiple points throughout this little special mini episode, once we hit the double digits, that was important to me. That we finally.
You gotta do a little closing statement. Go ahead.
What, Pegasus?
Yeah, you were doing your little closing statement, so I'm like, oh yeah, you gotta do that too. I was announce the things, and then you started saying stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, you gotta do that first.
Quit interrupting me.
Wow, I didn't know you were so.
But anyway,
on this podcast,
personally, to me, hitting episode 10, and granted, in the grand scheme of things, to the majority of podcasters, episode 10 probably is not important. Now, 50, 100, 200, stuff like that is really important. But to me, we just hit the double digits. So I keep repeating
We're
myself.
on the map. We're real.
We're getting there. Still have no reviews, but if you guys are listening on Apple, because this is a significant milestone for me personally with this show being the first podcast, we have officially
Wow, you're not
launched.
Even I just gave heartfelt thank yous to everybody in my life, and I don't even get a thank you, and I
already thank you.
Did you?
Yes.
I'm tired.
But hitting this marker, personally for me, I felt the need to set everything up. We have officially launched a TeePublic store. That is right. We have a TeePublic store. Now, granted, right now, as of this recording, we only have one design, and that is our show logo.
I'm just gonna have to kidnap Jason and force him to make all the designs.
I was thinking about designing a few myself. And same to you, Pegasus, design something. But, yeah,
I mean, I'll get Adobe Comp and throw a couple Google images together to make a meme that has to do with our show.
Sounds like a plan. But the link to our TeePublic store is teepublic.com.
I'm a teen.
/user/PPAF podcast 1. Feel free, guys, if you wanted to stop by there to pick up yourself some nice apparel. That will help the show out immensely, because anything earned from T Public will not go into me and Pegasus pockets. That will be turned right around and go right back to the show.
Hey, speak for yourself. I'm kidding.
And then, even speaking of that, you guys, we now have a Patreon set up for Pixels,
Hold
Polygons,
on.
and Fun.
Before we start going into Patreon, I just want to say, as much as like it's so easy to do, it's still so surreal to me. We have t-shirts now. People can go and buy a shirt with the logo of a show that I'm on. That's amazing to me.
I know. And then
I
people are
can't
going to
wait
ask,
until
hey,
I
what's
can't
Pixels, Polygons, and Fun?
yeah.
Go listen.
I can't wait till I start wearing that shirt, which Gingy has so gracefully agreed to buy for me once he gets some spare change. Because I'm a
Right.
teenager with no life and no job.
Yes.
I can't wait to be wearing that shirt, and somebody's gonna ask, "Hey, what's Pixels, Polygons, and Fun?" And I'll be like, "Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a tale."
This is how my life got turned upside down.
How I became the Fresh Prince of podcasts.
But anyway, to get back on track, we have a Patreon now at Patreon. Wow, patreon.com/PPAF podcast. Jesus. I'm sorry, guys. I'm coming over a little bit of a bug, so I apologize. But of course, if you have the free funds to do so, feel free to support us on Patreon. We have two tiers
Okay,
up
I was about
on
to
there
say,
right.
tell us about the tiers. You beat me to it.
We have two tiers up on there right now: a $1 tier and a $5 tier that we have affectionately nicknamed the 8-bit tier and the 16-bit tier. For just the $1, you guys can get the episodes one day early, and then we will have a exclusive Patreon channel in our Discord server where all the Patreons can get together. And then we have a $5 tier, which only for about a month.
Can I say things? Can I say things about the $5 tier? I want to do it.
Go for it, Pegasus.
So the $5 tier will get you a personal thank you on the show. We'll read your little name out. I don't know why I put an adjective on that. We'll read your name out on the show when you donate. We'll give you a nice thank you. Also in that tier is something I'm really excited about. An idea that I pitched to Gingy and he did accept, and I'm very excited to start doing it. There will be a Patreon, not Patreon exclusive, but I'll explain the details in a second. A Patreon prioritized? Yeah,
I think that would be the right phrase.
A Patreon prioritized podcast, Peg and Gingy Go to the Movies, in which we will review some movies. And it will be posted on Patreon for $5 tiers. And then, if you don't donate to that tier, 1 month later, yes, a whole month, the episode will be posted to YouTube. So if you want to get those episodes right fresh when they come out, gotta pony up that $5 email.
Which, and again, I wanted to stress that any money that's made, from now, the T Public and the Patreon, it won't go to me and Pegasus. It will go right back to the show so we can fund more projects.
I imagine it'll go right into me getting, like, a mic and crap. Because that's probably our biggest struggle right now, the fact I'm using an inbuilt phone mic.
Right. But, and then, of course, you guys, if you want to support us on Patreon, that would mean the absolute world to us. And by all means, if you have the funds to do so, first of all, take care of yourselves. Take care of your responsibilities before you.
Honestly, if anybody donates to our Patreon, I'm gonna be like so happy. I'm gonna like be like, oh my god, dude, you just like made my day. I can't believe that money is getting put into the show from other people that enjoy the show enough to put it in.
All right, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, of course, if you have the extra money to do so and you feel nice, any from the Patreon or the T Public store, that will mean the world to us if you guys help us support there. But of course, take care of yourselves first. Don't feel like if you want to, awesome. None of the content that we will make under the Pixels, Polygons, and Fun network will ever be locked behind the paywall. Everything will be free. Now, granted, yes, with Peg and Gingy Go to the Movies, that'll be on Patreon with a $5 tier only temporarily. And then we will push that over to the YouTube channel, which will be up in the next few days. I've had some difficulty with it, so please stay tuned for that.
Making a YouTube channel. That's like the easiest thing.
Shut up. I'm having problems. Get off my back. But I think that is all the time we have for this special episode. Pegasus, where can our listeners find you?
You can follow me on Twitter, Pegasus the Game One. Your best bet to find me is our community Discord, where you can talk to me on the server or DM me. I'm all ears. Like low key, like give people my Snapchat right now. If somebody from the show adds me on Snapchat, I will legit have a laughing fit. If you have Snapchat, my Snapchat is Mega Riley X 2020. So yeah, you want to add me on Snapchat, go ahead. You can find my YouTube comment on the... God, I did it again! Are you kidding me? I thought I was done with that. My YouTube content on the YouTube channel Pegasus the Gamer. I have a couple of other podcasts. Well, I guess one currently, another one in the works. Ghost of Gaming Future is a podcast, like I said before, where we talk about our own game ideas. You can find that on the YouTube channel Ghost of Gaming Future. And any of the other podcasts I mentioned, I'll give a shout out to real quick, just so like if you want to hear some of my old stuff, you can. Ghost of Gaming. I just talked about Ghost of Gaming Future in the Fun Old podcast. I'm tired.
I think we all are, man.
Okay, so you can find Ghost of Gaming Future, Pokemon Variety Hour coming soon. I kind of wanted to give a shout out to some of the old podcasts mentioned in this episode, so if you want to go back and listen to the archives of those, you can. Way Past Cool Podcast can be found on the Way Past Cool Podcast, where I talked about the first episode of The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, where there was a flamboyant hippo thug with a mohawk. So if you're interested in that. Anyway, there's Fresh Baked Laugh Tracks, which can be found at freshbakedlaughtrackspodcast.weebly.com, where there is an episode there of me and Atlas recapping the first episode of Drake and Josh. And there's, of course, an Arceus We Trust, which I've mentioned on the show before. And that is anywhere where podcasts are found. There are 8 episodes of me. Well, I guess 7, because I wasn't on episode 8. 7 episodes of filling your ears with all things Pokemon. And more to come with Pokemon Variety Hour. And yeah, that's it. Follow the show on MySpace, coming soon.
You can follow me on my personal Twitter at RagingGingy. You can follow the show at PPAF Podcast. We now have a TeePublic store, which is tpublic.com/users/PPAF Podcast 1. We now have a Patreon at patreon.com/PPAF Podcast. And of course, if you want to join our community Discord, link is down below for you. And we are, of course, live on anywhere where you can find your podcaster of choice. If you are listening on the Apple iTunes, please drop a review. That'll be able to help other listeners find us. And
yeah, real quick, I want to say this. We say we're on anywhere where podcasts are found. If there's somewhere where podcasts are found that we're not on, tell us and we'll try to get on it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. And for any comments, concerns, or yes, even topic suggestions that you would like to submit but not submit it in the Discord channel, you can email the show directly at ppandfpodcast@gmail.com. Well, that's it, Pegasus. We appreciate you guys coming in. And
yeah, thank you. This is the last thing. I should have said it during the thank you section. I imagine everybody's like, wow, thanks. Thank you to the listeners.
Right, that was going to be the last thing I was going to mention before we close out.
Anybody who listens to Pixels right now, anybody who's listened to Pixels in the past, anybody who listened to an Arceus and any of the other podcasts, thank you for
And of course,
providing your time.
to our listeners, thank you from me as well. Thank you to everyone who has given me motivation to do this. You know who you are. Also wanted to thank our special guests for coming on throughout our various of episodes. But that is it, you guys. We're gonna go ahead and cut the episode here. This has
I don't
been.
want it to end. This was so fun.
I know it is. We'll certainly have more special episodes for you guys. But this has been the episode 10.987 of Pixels, Polygons, and Fun. I am your host, Raging Gingy.
I am very thankful to all of you, and also Pegasus.
All right, you guys. We will see you in episode 11. You have a good one.